When a mysterious toxic gas engulfs the city without warning, survival becomes a vertical race against time. Trapped above the streets with nowhere left to run, two ordinary people must climb higher, think faster, and risk everything to escape the invisible death below. Exit isn't just a disaster movie, it's a thrilling mix of tension, humor, and human resilience that keeps you holding your breath until the very last second. The male lead of Exit is Young Nam, a jobless young man still living with his parents, drifting through life with no clear direction or practical skills. In the eyes of society, he is a failure, unemployed, unmotivated, and seemingly useless. The only thing he truly enjoys, anti-cells at his wall climbing and rock climbing, hobbies that once seemed pointless and childish. Years earlier, Young Nam participated in a climbing competition where he faced Yuiju, the female lead. The outcome was humiliating, a crushing defeat that left him discouraged and embarrassed. Yet from that moment on, Young Nam secretly fell in love with Yuiju, admiring her confidence and competence from afar. As Young Nam's mother prepares to celebrate her 70th birthday, he is assigned the task of choosing a location for the family gathering. By chance, he discovers that Yuiju is now working as an assistant manager at a hotel. Seizing what he believes to be fate, given opportunity, Young Nam deliberately chooses that hotel, hoping the event might allow him to reconnect with her and perhaps change her impression of him. However, when the day finally arrives, Young Nam remains timid and awkward. Despite his hopes, he fails to make any meaningful progress. The gathering appears destined to end as uneventfully as his ordinary life. Suddenly, disaster strikes. A tanker truck filled with toxic gas appears in the city. Without hesitation, the driver opens the air valve, causing the poisonous gas to erupt instantly into the streets. It becomes clear that this is a deliberate act of revenge against society. The driver, never intended to survive, and removes his gas mask, dying almost immediately. Nearby, several young people witness the spreading gas from a distance. Mistaking it for something amusing or harmless, they approach to take selfies, only to collapse moments later, convulsing violently. Panic finally sets in. The truth becomes undeniable, and the city descends into chaos, transforming overnight into an apocalyptic nightmare at the same time. Young Nam's sister is caught outside during the outbreak. Wearing a traditional long skirt, she struggles to move quickly and soon falls into the poisonous substance covering the ground. She loses consciousness almost instantly. Young Nam rushes to her side, rescues her, and carries her into the hotel, where the rest of the family has taken shelter. Unlike many others, Yuiju does not flee in panic. Remaining calm and professional, she immediately organizes the evacuation of hotel guests. When she sees Young Nam's sister in critical condition, she improvises a stretcher using a broom and cloth, demonstrating her decisiveness under pressure as the poisonous gas creeps closer to the building. Young Nam realizes they cannot stay where they are. The group decides to move his sister to the rooftop for safety. However, once they reach the roof, they discover the door is locked. The key, located at the bottom of the building, has long since been submerged in poison. Yuiju explains that even without the key, the door can be opened from the outside. This sparks a bold and dangerous idea in Young Nam's mind. He will climb to open it himself, securing a safety rope. Young Nam takes a running start and attempts to leap toward the adjacent structure. He narrowly fails, almost falling to his death. At that moment, his long-ignored climbing skills finally become useful. Treating the situation like a vertical wall, Young Nam grips the surface and begins to climb. The film intensifies the tension by repeatedly cutting two shots looking straight down at the ground, making even viewers with mild fear of heights feel uneasy. As he climbs higher, Young Nam discovers that the safety rope is too short. Trapped between life and death, he makes the desperate decision to cut it and continue upward unprotected. At the summit, he reaches a lion statue. Leaping forward, Young Nam grabs its sharp teeth, but one of them breaks off. Hanging by a single fang, he grits his teeth and forces himself upward, finally reaching safety. He opens the rooftop door, allowing his family inside. Shortly after, a rescue helicopter passes overhead. The family shouts through a speaker and flashes phone lights at the sign. It's looking more like they are singing karaoke than calling for help. Ultimately, it is Yuiju who saves them again by manipulating the hotel's neon lights to flash, successfully attracting the helicopter. However, after boarding, they discover the helicopter has exceeded its weight limit. 2 people must stay behind. Youngnam and Yuiju volunteer, waiting for the next rescue. When another helicopter appears, both are moved to tears, and Youngnam even prepares to confess his long-hidden feelings. But at the critical moment, the helicopter diverts to another building with more survivors. As the poison continues rising toward the rooftop, Youngnam and Yuiju don protective suits and prepare to climb. Once more, this time through toxic vegetation, toward a higher building. Their destination, the barbecue restaurant across the street, their last hope for survival. At this point, a new problem arises. Youngnam is much heavier than Yuiju. The dumbbells she used as counterweights are no longer strong enough to support him. The rope trembles violently, swaying in midair, and the situation becomes extremely precarious. To make matters worse, the poisonous gas has already begun to seep into the barbecue restaurant below. Once the fume extractor detects the gas, it automatically activates at full power, unexpectedly sucking all the poison upward into the upper floor. The danger increases instantly. Faced with this horrifying scene, Yuiju hesitates for a split second, unsure whether she should abandon Youngnam in order to survive. At the most critical moment, Youngnam finally makes a breakthrough. A massive, super heavy kettlebell is thrown over and secured as a counterweight, stabilizing the rope. With their lives hanging by a thread, the 2 manage to crawl across safely. Ironically, this very kettlebell is something Youngnam had tried to lift earlier, but could not even move an inch. Now, pushed to the edge between life and death, his hidden potential is unleashed. In moments like these, human limits simply cease to exist. After escaping the barbecue restaurant, the 2 climb toward an even higher rooftop. This time, having learned from past mistakes, they act more cautiously. When making a ping-pong call to a rescue helicopter, Youngnam lies and claims there are 20 people waiting for help. To make the story believable, they even bring out multiple mannequins and arrange them carefully on the rooftop. However, when the helicopter finally arrives, Youngnam and Yuiju notice that on the opposite side, there are even more children stranded and waiting for rescue. Without hesitation, they signal for the helicopter to save the children first. Unfortunately, the distance is too far, and the helicopter pilot cannot clearly see their gestures. Left with no other option, Youngnam and Yuiju drag the mannequins together and arrange them into a giant arrow, pointing directly toward the children. The signal works. The children are successfully rescued. Yet just as relief begins to settle in, disaster strikes again. A nearby gas station suddenly explodes, and the poisonous gas is once more blown in their direction. With nowhere else to go, Youngnam and Yuiju are forced to flee, yet again this time toward the tallest construction crane in the area. As they struggle onward, Youngnam's father, deeply worried about his son, spends money to hire several young men to operate a drone and guide Youngnam's route from above. However, these young men are not entirely selfless. Their real goal is to capture footage of Youngnam's desperate escape and profit from it. Through online live streaming, the broadcast goes live, and within moments it explodes in popularity. Countless viewers tune in, and other live streamers rush to capitalize on the sudden trend. Overnight, Youngnam becomes famous nationwide. Yet just as the live stream reaches its most intense moment, the drone suddenly runs out of battery and crashes. With all guidance lost, Youngnam falls into despair and instinctively kicks his legs in panic. Then, unexpectedly, even more colorful drones appear in the sky. It turns out that nearby drone enthusiasts, having seen the live stream, rushed over to help. These drones not only guide Youngnam and Yuiju forward, but also assist in setting up ropes connecting to the crane. With no time left to hesitate, the 2 begin lowering themselves toward it, halfway down. Something unimaginable happens. They stop abruptly. Seeing this, Yuiju makes a decisive choice. She cuts the remaining section of the rope, intending to swing across with Youngnam like Tarzan. But at that exact moment, the rope attached to the crane suddenly snaps and falls away. The two plummet helplessly toward the ground below. A rescue helicopter arrives shortly afterward. From the pilot's perspective, young Nam and his group appear to be already dead, and he prepares to leave. Suddenly, one rescuer notices something moving on the crane. Against all odds, young Nam and Yuiju manage to grab onto it during the fall. Weak but alive, young Nam shouts desperately for help. After a long night of struggle, they are finally rescued. The next morning, young Nam and Yuiju are safely brought back to the ground. Young Nam takes out a heavy iron ring he had carried throughout the ordeal, the very object that helped them survive multiple. He reveals that the ring actually belongs to Yuiju and attempts to return it. After a brief pause, Yuiju smiles and says she will give it back to him another day, joking that the ring is simply too heavy for her to lift right now. Young Nam is confused. After all, Yuiju once climbed walls and rooftops like a gorilla. How could she not lift it? In truth, Yuiju just wants an excuse for young Nam to invite her out again. When young Nam finally understands, he feels embarrassed yet secretly overjoyed. The story ends on a sweet, understated note of affection. As for the poisonous gas, a heavy rain soon follows, and the toxin visibly dissipates, marking the true end of the nightmare and exit. In the final moments of exit, young Nam and Yuiju survive not because of luck, but because they refuse to give up again and again. After escaping impossible heights, toxic gas, and repeated near-death moments, they are finally rescued at dawn, exhausted but alive. The city is saved as the poison dissipates, and what remains is not destruction, but quiet relief. The film's biggest strength lies in how it turns an ordinary loser into a believable hero. Young Nam doesn't suddenly become powerful. His once mocked climbing hobby becomes the very skill that saves lives. The tension is constant, the pacing tight, and the blend of disaster humor. And romance keeps the story entertaining without becoming overwhelming. However, the film's weakness is its relatively simple villain setup. The origin of the disaster isn't deeply explored, and some coincidences like repeated last-second rescues may feel a bit convenient. Still, Exit delivers a clear message. No skill is ever truly useless. And in moments of crisis, courage, teamwork, and persistence matter more than status or success. Sometimes the way out isn't forward, it's straight up.
If you find this video interesting, please give it a like, click on a subscribe button in order not to miss the incoming videos. Goodbye, and see you then.